with that, I want to turn it over to Ben and Shannon, and maybe you guys could introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your experience, and we'll get started. Again, thank you for everyone who's attending today.
All right, thank you, David. Welcome, everyone. This is Ben Goodro. I'm a Senior Strategic Partner Advisor for School Improvement Network. I work with our districts here in Texas. We have about 100 districts that we work with across the state, supporting their implementation of Edivate and helping drive teacher growth. So I'm excited to be sharing with you. I'll have Shannon Allen here from Region 20 introduce herself briefly, and we'll jump into the agenda.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shannon Allen. I'm an administrative specialist for school leadership at Education Service Center Region 20 in San Antonio. My role is really hold many hats in supporting our campus and district leaders across our service area, but primarily one of my big roles is implementation of T-TESS, T-PESS, AEL, and of course the student growth or SLOs across Region 20. And so hopefully I can provide some insight around T-TESS throughout this webinar.
And just want to say a special thanks to Shannon for taking time to spend time with us talking about T-TESS and evaluations. We have a partnership with Region 20, for those of you that are not aware, a formal partnership where we work together supporting districts here, especially with Edivate and Edivate Observe, where we have a collaborative effort to support the districts, the schools, the teachers from definitely a combined format. So from there, we'll kind of jump into the agenda, and Shannon obviously has a lot of experience working with districts with T-TESS, both throughout the pilot years as well as currently. So I'll let her kind of jump into some things she's going to share with us, and then we'll jump into Edivate Observe to kind of show what it is and how it works and how it's making T-TESS a little bit easier for our principals.
Okay, so we are technically 3 years into T-TESS. We had 2 years of pilot where districts came on and across the state and piloted T-TESS, and of course everyone knows we are now in statewide rollout where most of our districts across the state are using T-TESS. And as we've been supporting campus leaders, district leaders, campuses across the region, we always like to ask questions about, hey, how is it going? The initial response at the beginning of the year was a lot of enthusiasm, excitement around the new tool. Definitely liked the new approach around teacher growth as compared to PDOS. And so we're now mid-year through our first year, and so we are hearing a lot of feedback around the time that it's taking campus leaders to categorize and rate or score evidence. We've learned in our training that strategic scripting is huge, and so a lot of folks are capturing lots of evidence, either paper and pencil or on their laptops, but they're spending a lot of time trying to categorize and then thus use the evidence to score the different dimensions in T-TESS. And so that is one thing we're hearing. The other piece that we're hearing from campus leaders is, okay, now I have these ratings, I have this evidence, how do I help teachers move forward in their practice? Yes, we've talked about coaching and allowing teachers to find their own solutions, but if I need to be able to provide something quick and on the spot, real time, right, feedback to help teachers in any particular dimension, what are some resources I could use to get that done quickly and efficiently? And so knowing that these are some of the struggles that our campus leaders are encountering right now with T-TESS, when we partnered with Edivate and hearing about this new platform, Observe, it sounds like a perfect solution to some of those obstacles around T-TESS.
So I'm going to jump in here to Edivate Observe. I'm going to switch my screen over here to my login screen. I'm currently within Edivate. What you're seeing is the homepage of Edivate, which is a suite of different resources and tools to support teachers. Some of you may be familiar with Edivate under its previous name. It used to be called PD360. Same company. We've rebranded the name because we've made a lot of changes to the platform as far as functionality and resources. But especially over the past few years, we've made a lot of specific changes for Texas through our partnerships with Region 20 and some of the other ESCs, and working with some of the T-TESS pilot districts. We've aligned content to the TEKS for our standards videos. We've also aligned content to T-TESS and T-PESS, and then tweaked some of our tools just to better support the growth process outlined in T-TESS. For those of you that are familiar with Edivate previously, you know, one of the greatest strengths is our content, where we have a video library of over 3,000 videos, online courses, micro-credentials, which is something that's new that we're very excited about, where it focuses on competency and mastery rather than seat time and credit hours. But it's really a growth and competency system that's designed to help and support teachers grow in their individual areas. So today we're going to focus on Edivate Observe. If you'd like to get more information about Edivate, you know, please let us know. I'm going to show our contact information again at the end so you can write that down. But in the meantime, I'm going to log into Edivate Observe, and to do that, we're going to leave you with some login credentials here at the end as well so that you can browse back in here. So let me walk you through some of the navigation here. Here on the home page, you essentially have different cards that are shortcuts to different tools and applications within the system. You can see down here I have an observation card. So that's one way to get into the observation tool, by clicking View All My Observations. The other way is to go up here to the menu button at the top left, and here you have an option for Edivate Observe. So that's going to log me into the observation tool. You know, we've recently redesigned this to make it more user-friendly, give it a nicer look than our previous tool. So you have essentially 4 sections. There's the observations, there's the schedule where you can schedule your observations and walkthroughs and conferences. You have reports, of course, and then you have templates. So I'll walk you kind of through this and show you what it looks like, but a couple things I want to point out that are a little bit different from this tool and a lot of the other observation or evaluation tools out there is the templates themselves. It's a very flexible system when it comes to templates. So we have the state, you know, T-TESS form, the T-PESS form, and some walkthrough forms as well. But because it is very customizable, you can customize those. If your district utilizes other walkthrough forms or observation forms for, you know, special education, ELL, things like that, you can create your own. We can also help you build those as well. So it provides that flexibility for you to have those different types of evaluations housed into one system. For now, I'm going to go first to observations, and I'm just going to go into this like a principal would when they're ready to perform an observation. So I'll click on Perform an Observation. I would then select my location depending on what access I've been granted. I would select my teacher. Let's go with Mr. Teacher to start. And then I would select the template. And so this is a demo account, so you're going to see a lot of different templates here, but typically a principal would just see the templates that they have access to or that they need to utilize. So I'm going to scroll down here to T-TESS. I'm going to start the observation. And so you'll see here on the bottom left you have some shortcuts to the 4 domains. And then within the observation, you'll see as I scroll, you'll see the different dimensions here. So there's a lot of, again, flexibility on the view that you want to have here. A lot of our districts we found like to have the look-fors included. You have the rubric here for the scoring or the rating. So pretty typical for an observation tool. The main differences that I want to point out here are a couple of components up here at the top right. Right here you have a fingerprint icon and a clipboard icon. And these are the main differentiators with Edivate Observe, and a lot of what we built here is based on feedback from our districts. And working with different principals and districts throughout the pilot, we got some great feedback, especially on these 2 components. So one of them is the evidence. So the fingerprint is those pieces of evidence. There's a scripting tool that we've built within Edivate that allows you to focus on the classroom and the learning while you script, and then come back later and align it to the appropriate dimension. So some of the feedback we receive from principals is they're jumping between dimensions within the electronic form, trying to gather evidence for the appropriate area. So rather than doing that jump around and trying to keep track of things, there's a scripting button here at the bottom left. When you click on that, it opens up a scripting tool. So I can script away, notate my evidence, and when I hit enter, it logs it to the side with a timestamp. So this allows me to really focus on the teacher, the students, the learning, the classroom, gather my evidence, and then later I can go back and align those pieces of evidence to the appropriate dimension or dimensions. So I'll go up here to this attach script button at the top right, and I can highlight the evidence, and then I can go to the specific dimension or dimensions that it may apply to. And so that assigns that to that dimension. So I can go to my next option, I can assign it to a whole domain, to the dimension, and so forth. So then once I save, I come back and I now have a little number 2 next to my evidence icon. If I click on that, it'll actually pull up those specific evidences that have been aligned to that dimension. Now, when it comes to evidence, there are some other pieces that you can use. There's some timers and counters here as well. If you click on those, it'll open up a section here where you can create a counter and a timer. So these are customized. So I might want to create a timer of maybe it's students off task, for example. And I can count those and use that as evidence. I can also create a timer that I can run in the background. Maybe it's direct teach time or whatever it might be, and I can just let that run. And again, I can save that and align that to the dimension that would be appropriate for evidence. So that's the evidence component. The other component is the assigned professional development. So Edivate Observe is available as just an evaluation tool on its own. But when you connect it with Edivate, it becomes very powerful because then you have access to all of our content, which really enables, especially the principals, to individualize that professional development for the teachers. And so, just especially in the spirit of T-TESS, where they're, we know that T-TESS takes time, right? It's well invested time, but it's definitely more time, which is a challenge. So the feedback we got from our pilot principals was that this enabled them to save time by having a quick go-to to find resources to support the teacher. So if I click here on, I'm in dimension 1.1, if I click on my clipboard here for my PD assignments, under search, I have some pre-aligned professional development. So I can browse these, I can look at a quick summary here, but when I click on this plus button, it actually attaches that video to the teacher to that dimension. If I'd like to, I can create a due date here. And so I can make these professional development assignments in a very prescriptive approach, quickly and easily. Now, there's some pre-aligned video, and the district can kind of vet that and decide what they want to align to it. We have some alignments as well. But you can also, search our library and add additional videos based on whatever may be relevant for that teacher. So I've created 3 PD assignments here. I'm going to hit save. And then you can see here there's a number 3. I have 3 PD assignments for that teacher. So that's saved with that evaluation. As administrator, I'll be able to see if they've watched those videos. I can even see their responses to the built-in reflection and follow-up questions. So it really just ties in well to that, that growth component and providing the resources. That gives you kind of an overview of performing the observation and some of those specific tools. I'm going to kind of ask Shannon on some of her thoughts, being that she's worked so heavily with so many districts, and kind of what her thoughts on some of the specific functionality here with Observe.
Well, when Ben showed me the scripting tool, I nearly fell out of my seat. It is such a good, useful tool, because I too struggle with taking the amount of time it takes me to go through my scripting notes and try to identify which dimension does this evidence best support. And then you've got 10 pages worth of scripting notes, and you're flipping through that. This tool allows me to take my best evidence, collect it, and then later I can come back and just simply and be able to fairly and accurately score that particular dimension. So I just think it's going to save, this particular feature will save campus leaders an enormous amount of time, and a time that we don't have. So that feature was of high interest to me when I saw it. And then again, this quick in-time ability to recommend, suggest maybe some quick videos. And these videos are not real long. They're short clips that are able to get a point across to teachers. If I've got a teacher struggling with differentiation, in an elementary classroom, or perhaps I've got a kinder teacher that's struggling with managing center activities. There is a video within this library that they could watch very quickly and get some insight, some ideas that you then could have a conversation with them either during a post-conference or follow-up to really help them grow in that particular dimension. So those two features, to me, really help out the campus leader, not only being efficient, but also being able to provide some immediate feedback that's going to prompt some good conversation in a post-conference.
And in line with that conversation post-conference, one thing I want to show the group as well, there's a lot more to this tool, but just wanted to show you some of the things that differentiate it a little bit. There is a feedback mechanism that's included as well. So if I go into my observations that have been completed by me or completed by others, let me select a better date range here. So you'll see this little chat icon here. And so what that chat icon does is it allows the teacher to then ask questions and discuss with the observer or the principal. So, as the teacher, I can ask comments. It's going to be sent directly to the principal. They'll get an email notification. They can reply back. So we can continue that collaborative discussion, even afterwards. So that gives you kind of a quick overview of what's different about Observe and the main components that we've received great feedback on from our pilot districts and districts currently utilizing it. Let's jump into questions. If you have questions that have come up, be sure to type those into the comments section or the question box. Dave, do you have any questions that have been pulled that you'd like to ask us that we can answer to the group?
No questions yet. Sometimes it takes a little bit more time than we expect.
Okay. We'll give them a couple minutes. Go ahead and write in your questions. Or maybe we're just really good presenters. And we answer all the questions while we present.
I do have a question from Melody. She says, can you use this timer feature and continue scripting at the same time?
Great question. Yes, you can. So you can start a timer and it'll run in the background. You can open up the script, do your scripting, and at any time you can go back to the timer to change it, stop it. You can also have multiple timers running as well.
And that's also correct for the counter feature as well, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you can count kids off task or number of students in the classroom or a number of kids in each group. Whatever you're counting, that feature can also be accessed at the same time you're scripting.
Great question. Thanks, Melody. While we're waiting for other questions, I'm going to go ahead and just show our contact information so that if you do have other questions that come up, or if you'd like to talk with us further just about Observe or about Edivate, please feel free to call us, to email us. I actually live here in San Antonio. I work with all of our districts across Texas, but I live here in San Antonio, so I know we have some people attending from across the state, but especially for those here in Region 20, I'm close by, and I often come out to the districts to visit, to discuss, or show Edivate or Observe to your teams, etc.
Here's a question from Carmen. Are districts using this instead of the T-TESS website?
Okay, so Carmen, the T-TESS website is still housing all things T-TESS. So any training guides, any kind of appraiser manual or appraiser support that you might need, videos specific to like lessons that are rated by T-TESS raters at the state level, all of that is still in place. There is a feature and on the Teach for Texas portal that allows you to enter observations, but it is not, you basically enter in that information and it gives you reports. what Edivate provides that system doesn't is obviously the scripting tool and then the videos or professional development piece that could align to any particular dimension. So to answer your question, yes, the the observation management piece is still on the Teach for Texas portal, and that's not going away. This is simply another option that allows you, provides a lot more support to both the campus administrator and the teachers.
She continues the question. So teachers see all the feedback here? Question mark.
Yeah. So as far as evidence, feedback, the tool actually does allow you to determine if the evidence or the comments are public or private. So you can determine what evidence or what comments are going to go to the teacher when they're sent that evaluation once it's been completed. So yeah, you can really kind of control what they're going to see, what they're not going to see.
Question from Donald. Does this also have a pre-conference and post-conference capability?
It does, in the sense that you can create a form to manage and track those and schedule those. One thing that we're working on right now is finishing our the summative report, which would then pull all of your data from all different forms, so observation forms, goal setting, walkthrough, form evaluation forms into one place. And one thing to add to that, we found that our districts, some are setting forms up in different ways. So you have the flexibility as far as which forms you're going to create and how you want to structure those. And of course, districts have that local control as far as how many observations, how many walkthroughs, things like that. So we can kind of customize that setup based on what you have in place.
Did you say you were going to give us temporary access? That's what Melody asks.
Yes. And what we can do is we'll send out an email to everyone that's registered for the website or for the webinar today with the login credentials. I'm going to go ahead and let's see if I can put them up on the screen here for you. But the website is edivate.com. And the username is Texas. Let me just edit this here. And the password is Edivate1. Just all lowercase. Thank you for bringing that up, by the way. And we'll leave that open for about 30 days. So feel free to share that with other administrators. That'll give you full access to Edivate as well as the Edivate Observe. So you can browse through our content, videos, all of that, including the observation tool.
One of the things that I encourage folks to do is if you've got access to this, really do look and see what the videos are, because even in my own trainings here at Region 20, we use many of the videos. They're high quality. We've even been able to find some sample teaching lessons that we can use or that we often use to calibrate. So we'll watch a lesson in Edivate and then score it just to help with our calibration and really fine-tuning our T-TESS rating skills. So lots of really good resources in this platform.
And it is very customizable. So for example, Northeast ISD, they go through and they kind of have a vetting process where they highlight specific videos that are very much in line with their philosophy of how to do things like balanced literacy. So they kind of have their cherry-picked content that they go through, and the platform allows you to put those into folders, make them available for teachers in more of a strategic way. So we're about to the end. David, do we have any other questions? Or if anyone has any other questions, go ahead and submit those really quick. And we'll wrap up for you today.
I don't have any new questions yet.
Okay. So I posted up again our contact information. So if there are additional questions, again, email us, give us a call. We're happy to talk with you, answer questions, come out to your district and talk more. But I want to thank everyone for coming out and attending the webinar today, for taking some time out of your busy days. And also I want to especially say thanks to Shannon for taking time to share with us about T-TESS and how Observe can support our schools.
Always glad to help.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
Great. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Shannon. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this. And just a reminder that this is being recorded, and the presentation will also be made available along with a certificate of completion if you need one. And that will conclude today's webinar. Thank you very much.